Welcome, everybody. My name is Bart, and today I wanted to share a story, to share my experience of not smoking weed for 2 years. About a year ago, I'm not sure exactly when. It will be funny to see, to actually check it out. Around a year ago, I made a video titled "History of My Addiction." It will be somewhere here. If you're interested, you can check it out. But not around. It was exactly 1st of April, 2024. A very funny date, yeah, because it's April Fools on 1st of April. But that was a date when I made a decision to stop smoking weed, and it was a decision I have made many times. I cannot count how many times I tried to stop smoking. Okay, I wanted to stop, or at least reduce it, for a very long time. And I think there just came. I just stopped wanting that. I just accepted that I cannot stop because it's not possible. I'm unable to. And I think I just stopped verbalizing that need to just be sober. That was unreachable for me at certain point. Okay, so I remember there were times where I would find myself in a loop. I would wake up feeling tired, cloud-minded, and angry at myself that I smoked yesterday. And I remember this anger. With this anger came a rush of motivation to stop smoking, and I would promise myself this day that I would stop smoking, or at least I wouldn't smoke that day. But hours passed, and by the evening, I have forgotten it, like all of this attitude, and I would just have to need. I just needed to find it. I just needed to get it, if I of course haven't had it already. Just by the evening, I had to smoke. Like there was no other way. There were times like when I would made myself to like not smoke for several days, right? To just prove myself that I can. And there were days, right? I remember 4 or 5 days I would be able to not smoke, and then I would smoke as a reward. But then I thought, yeah, now I am able to not smoke for 4 days. I will smoke now and not smoke also for 4 days. But that didn't happen. My mind was just playing tricks on me. Was telling me lies. I was just weaker than my impulses, and I couldn't hold myself. I just had to get high. There was something inside of me, some kind of fear, so immense, so powerful that I wasn't able to face it. I was so afraid of it. I had to get faded. I had to get my mind clouded again. I was so afraid of confronting that I don't know, monster inside of me. I wasn't ready for it. By the end of 2022, my son was born, and I remember I was kind of hoping that his birth would be this higher motivation for me to finally put it away, to finally stop. But that wasn't the case. Like I remember, like first few months, I was okay without it. Like the adrenaline, the high. I don't know, the high of finally meeting him, and I loved him so much. I remember I just fell in love instantly when just when I saw him. I fell in love so hard. And so yeah, I remember that lasted some time. I think it might have been a few months, but after that, after that high wear off, I got back to it, and I tried, but then it was very difficult, you know, being a young father, working, supporting the family, trying to work double shifts sometimes, and then coming back and helping the mother. I remember it was very difficult, and I just yeah, I also couldn't take it all in. I just it was also still too much, and I was still smoking, right? And and because I wasn't really able to smoke in the house when the mother was there, then I felt I was forced, because I couldn't smoke there because she wouldn't accept that, right? I was kind of acting like I wasn't smoking. I was smoking at my job a lot. I was a delivery driver back then, and sometimes like I had different shifts, but I remember I had a shift for like I started at 7 o'clock, right? So I had to go out. I had to wake up at 6. I go out 6:30. So I wake up. I eat something very fast, or take something with me to the car, and first thing I do in the car, I blaze. That was my routine. That was my daily routine. Um, so back then, we were living abroad alone, and that's why it was also more difficult maybe. But then we came back to Poland, where we were born. Um, and but I still like rotated a little bit to work over there. We lived in Norway, but 1st of April 2024 was the day I came back for good. Okay, I stopped working there at all, and that was also the day. And a lot of people knew. Okay, my family knew and was very worried about me, um, and was suggesting an addiction therapy, and I tried. I remember I tried few like 2 3 years back. I tried an addiction therapy, but it just hadn't clicked with this certain therapist, or maybe I was just not ready back then. Okay, but I remember I was just not feeling it, and it was online. Maybe that also was the case. So 1st of April, I told my family, my parents and my ex-partner now, that okay, I'm dropping weed, but let me try one last time do it without the therapy, okay? And actually, I did quite well for some time. I joined a meditation group. It was a Buddhist Zen kind of meditation group. It was very interesting. I would love to go back there. Actually, it left a lot in me in the way I might meditate right now to this day. And I remember it lasted like an hour and a month and a half. Okay, and for that period I was good. But after that, I kind of got bored. I stopped going there. Back then, I still haven't had a job. I was working a little bit on the house that we were supposed to move in, and and I started drinking. Okay, I couldn't smoke, right? I'm not smoking, but no, a beer or two, then maybe just three, then it went to four, you know, and it was fucked up. I cringe just thinking about it, right? Because back then I would start taking my son to, like, it's not kindergarten, it's like this thing before kindergarten, okay, for real small children. So I would take him to this place, right, for the daycare. Then I would go. It was like 9 in the morning, 9 a.m. I would go to the shop. I would buy 4 beers, and then just chill out with those beers, okay? And that was what I was doing. Then I would like sober up after a few hours, and then I could pick him up. That's kind of fucked up. It's not. I don't enjoy talking about it actually. Then there would be some evenings when I would drink a little bit more, right? Go to the shop when it's quiet, when people went to sleep. And then we were still living with my parents. We were kind of preparing our house to move into, and we were living with my parents. And there was one night, especially embarrassing for me, especially awkward, and especially painful, that I woke up in the middle of the night in the bed with my ex-partner, puking, because I just drank too much. And yeah, that sucked, bro. That was really something. God damn. I didn't want to go to addiction therapy because I was like, this is just weed, bro. This is just weed. I know I'm smoking it for 10 years, but this is just weed, right? But yeah, it isn't. I mean, you can get you can get addicted to very different things, and it was influencing my life in a major way, okay? And the addiction mechanism just stayed there, okay? And when I stopped smoking, I started drinking, and the alcohol just worked worse on me, okay? It wasn't a good alternative. So at that point, I think it was sometime after this incident that I said, okay, okay, I can go to addiction therapy. All right, I will go. It was around August 2024, so around 4 months later, okay? So for a month and a half, I was really good. Then for 2 months, I started like circling back, but with an alternative substance, which was alcohol. And then I decided, okay, my mother had someone who she heard of that he's good. So I decided, so I accepted. Okay, I said, all right, let it be. I called him. We agreed on a first meeting. He was living in a different city, so we agreed that we will try first online and see if it works. And I would come visit him sometimes, and it would be nice, like to go to just have a trip outside the city once in a month or something. So that was actually a nice option, something nice for me to do. First meeting, he reflected back on that first meeting, because I was very open, as you can see. Probably I'm I'm talking sometimes too much, maybe too open-heartedly. And he reflected back that he thought he saw me laughing too much. He saw me. He remember he saw me laughing too much, kind of laughing off my problems, right? And he saw it. He thought that it means I'm not ready yet. Okay, and he accepts that in his patience that some people just need to use for some more time. Like that's okay. You have to be ready for a therapy. That's what he told me. If you're not ready, if you don't have the willing to try to work, because it's hard work, bro, then yeah, he he accepts that he will not be fighting there for you. It has to be you that's the main work. He's only there to guide you. So he reflected back that I was laughing too much, and he thought that means I'm not ready, that I'm not serious about my issues. But then he realized. I remember on the second therapy, he was like, "So, have you used?" I was like, "No, I haven't." I was like, and he was. I remember he was surprised. I remember he was sure I would use, and he reflected that he saw that now after a few meetings that laughing is just my coping mechanism, right? It's not that I'm not serious about it, or maybe a little bit less serious, but that's just how I cope with stress. If I'm nervous about something, if something is emotionally painful to me, I tend to laugh it off. I tend to make jokes, right? The hardest therapies, the hardest sessions for me, I always started with a huge fucking idiotic smile on my face. Um, and this therapy was very powerful, man. Like his guidance was very straightforward. He gave me homework. I had quests. I had things to do that he told me. Right. I had to do a journal. Right. I had to every night. I had to sign how many like hungers, like addiction hungers have I gotten, and we're analyzing it every week. It was hard work, and emotionally it was incredibly demanding. But bro, this motherfucker, I don't know, he was just so straightforward. He was so like he was fuck. You know what like, my first impression of this guy was. He told me he introduced himself that yeah, he's 8 years sober and he was addicted to amphetamine, right? And he was like, he's bald, right? He looked like kind of a fuck. In Polish, in Poland we call them dress, right? So kind of a guy from um, shit. I don't. It's hard if you're from Poland, then you know what I mean. If in for other people, it will be difficult to say. But what he was very straightforward. Okay, he was cursing with me. He really just crossed this border of a therapeutic relationship that I was used to, because I had some therapists before, but I loved it. For some it wouldn't be the case, but for me, it worked because I needed a friend in this shit. Okay, I needed a friend, and he could offer that, and furthermore, I could have called him whenever I needed, and there were times where I would call him like 3 times a week, like late in the evening, and he would be there, man. He would be there, and that was so important for me back then. I think the most important thing that this therapy gave me is self-value. Okay, I always thought well of myself. I always thought I'm a really good guy. I have so much capabilities. I'm really proper dude, right? But it turned out, and it was with his help that I realized I think good of myself. I thought. I mean, it's not now. I thought good of myself, but I don't feel good about myself. Okay, that yeah, I don't feel good about myself, and that he helped me to change. There was this very cool thing he did. He told me to ask the closest friends and family I have to make a list of my bad qualities and good qualities. Then the bad qualities I would put in the drawer, right? The good qualities, we would read all of them. The ones that were repeating from few or two or three, we would put them on the list of my good qualities. And the good qualities, I was supposed to be reading myself out loud. For some time, I haven't done that, but after a few months, I went back for it and I started doing it, and it worked. I don't know if you're familiar with affirmation, right? It worked as an affirmation because I believed, on some level, I believed in those, but hearing them, but by my body out loud, my body, my mind needed to hear that from myself, and by saying them every day, I really started feeling them. Okay, I really started believing them on the body level. Okay, on the subconscious level, and I started to value myself much more. Okay, I started appreciating myself. I started finally loving myself. So, furthermore, with the therapy came some really drastic changes and really drastic decisions. Throughout this therapy, I decided that I have to break up with my ex-partner now. That it was toxic for both of us. We were just not good fit at that point, because I think we fitted each other before, but we just grew different, or just traumatized each other too much. I don't know, but it was bad for each other at that point. And I don't think I would ever come to this decision by myself. This therapist was a huge anchor for me. He helped me tremendously, man. Here I'm getting emotional talking about him, about my therapist, because it will be almost a year soon when we stopped working together. But I still stayed in touch with him. He still was a guy for me that he still remained a friend. I still could have called him whenever I needed, and he was always there, and that was amazing. But what was painful, and maybe I will talk about it in a different video, what was very painful and very difficult, at one point he stopped answering the phones and the texts. Okay, then when I called him, there was even no signal on the phone. And he lived in another city, but there was one person who may have knew what happened. So I reached out to him, and he told me that my therapist relapsed. My therapist relapsed, did something crazy, and actually ended up arrested or in prison. I even don't know, because I dropped it. I didn't want to get involved in that, but yeah, there came a time after I finished the therapy with him when I was left alone. Okay, which was difficult, but I processed it. Okay, I had my people already then, so I wasn't totally alone, but Oh, yeah, I was angry. I was angry. I was sad. It was all of it. And maybe that's why I'm stopping here. And I think that's why I got so silent for some time. Yeah, I mentioned this option that he offered to me, right? That I could call him whenever I needed. That was that was so necessary, because there were just evenings where I would feel so troubled. Something just happened, and there were just emotions that I was still not able to, not capable to deal with. They were just too powerful for me. And there he was, right? I could call him, and he would answer or just call me back, and just talk. He taught me to just talk, and then I started actually talking with some other people I trust. But back then it felt like he's the person who understands me the most, right? Because he went through the similar thing. He actually made me believe that, finally believe that I am an addicted, and weed is still a drug, even though much less harmful. It still activated the same addiction mechanism that it activates in other people, and even if we were addicted to other substances, and he was addicted to something much more harder, we were we had so much in common. Okay, he understood me so well, and that's why he could have helped me also so well. So the hardest moments, the hardest emotional moments I had, I just had his support. Okay, and if you're watching this right now, and if you're struggling, reach out, reach out for help, because there is help, bro. There is help, and if you don't have money, just go to AA or NA. I went to a few Narcotics Anonymous meetings, and that was very good, man. That was very good. You don't have to speak at all. Nobody tell, like, it's not needed. Okay, if you're wondering if you should go, nobody tells you, like, forces you to speak out. It's totally it's totally optional. You can just go there and just hear people out. And it turns out, what's so nice about it is that turns out there's so much people that is going through some similar things, right? And it's nice to hear them out. Every time I went there, though, I ended up speaking out something, because it turned out like, that just by speaking out, putting what I was going through out, and this is exactly what my channel right now is, just my, like, pouring my thoughts outside, pouring my emotions in form of words outside, and just sending them out in the void. And the void is YouTube. It is therapeutic for me, okay, and I believe it can be therapeutic for a lot of people, and maybe for you as well. So if you're struggling, reach out, bro. Reach out. There are so many people that want to help, that enjoy helping, that went through similar things, and they're out there waiting for you, man. So every NA meeting I went helped me, and I got out from them, feeling much better. Um, Maybe a little bit of positive side now, because, yeah, when you stop using, no, when you smoke, when you drink, when you snort, obsessively, impulsively, compulsively, you do it because I did it, because I wasn't handling the emotional uncomfortableness, right? The emotional, the the negative emotions, okay, just boiling inside of me. I couldn't handle them. I wasn't feeling safe. I didn't have the proper tools. And what I was doing, I was silencing them, right? I was silencing them with the substances. And bro, what I what was the biggest surprise for me in soberness, okay? The biggest highlight of it, I didn't know anything. Like, people say soberness is amazing. I have never believed it, okay? I would never believe it when I was in my in my using era, okay? In my using period. I was just I just felt that it's miserable, that it's just difficult. You are just sober. I had periods when I was sober, so I just imagined being sober all the time is like being sober this short periods of time. And like, that was like, what the like, why the fuck would you even choose that? That's so bad. I would never believe someone that being sober is can be actually amazing, okay? So the biggest highlight I got from being sober at one point, that by silencing the negative emotions that I wasn't handling well, I was also silencing the positive ones, okay? Joyfulness, gratitude, fucking just being happy, okay? All of that came in with multiple power, okay? I have never felt so grateful, so joyful, only after I stopped smoking. And that was the most beautiful gift, okay, of my hard work, of me giving myself space for the negative emotions, okay? And I think that's it. You give yourself space for the negative ones, and it turns out you make at the same time space for the positive ones as well. And you know, I've never cried out of joy, of gratitude, cried out of love. That has never happened to me. Only after I stopped smoking, and that was so beautiful, bro. And I wish all of you that. My therapist taught me that everyone who's addicted, who uses, is a very sensitive person, or maybe oversensitive person even. So that can sound a little bit bad, okay? But it's not. It's just difficult. And the sensitiveness relates to both negative and positive, okay? And if you learn to handle the negative one, the negative part, you also are greeted, you also are prized by being sensitive to the positive one. And I think that's the most beautiful gift of from life, okay? And I don't think being sensitive now is a curse. I think it's a gift. And I believe that people who hasn't been addicted will never appreciate the life the way we can, the way the people who has been addicted can appreciate it, will appreciate it. It just goes much deeper, and it's just similar to when you oh wait, there is this saying, only if you were in the deepest valley, if you've been in the deepest valley, you can see how magnificent it is standing on the top of the mountain. Okay? Only when you've been in the biggest fucking, only if you touched only if you touched the bottom of the sea, only if you went to hell, you can actually reach the heaven, okay? If you don't know hell, you will never know heaven. And I think many people will not. Okay? So that's what I'm grateful for today. So like how my life looks like right now. I finished studies. We are co-parenting with my ex-partner. I got myself an apartment on a mortgage. I got a pretty good job. I'm starting soon to be working as a therapist as well. I mean, I'm gonna be an environmental therapist for kids and youths, and I'm excited. I'm scared of it, but I'm excited. I'm still in the process of letting myself feel everything that I need to feel, and I still feel a shadow, okay, an impulse to just turn back from it sometimes and just hide from it and make a shell. And sometimes I do, but then I have to force myself. I have to remind myself that I have to open for all of it, okay? To let it go. It will not leave you until you invite it in. I also went through a process of running away from my thoughts lately. I have talked about this in the previous video. I think I'm afraid of the silence, bro. Where I felt like I was just getting into from one obsession to another, okay, and kind of silencing the silence inside of me, my head, with noise, okay. I was just putting myself through all different types of noise, watching series all the time, of listening to music several hours a day, and optionally also getting obsessed romantically over a person. And I think that was all a way of my body to just get me out of my head. So right now, I'm still in the process of healing. I'm still in the process of getting to know myself, and right now I'm just getting to know myself in the silence, which is interesting. Okay, it's uncomfortable, but it's interesting, and I like it. I'm not sure what else do I want to talk about. I think I've said the most important things, the things I wanted to say the most. I'm not sure how many people this video will reach, but if it reached you and if you're still watching, I invite you to give me some questions, or even more, I invite you to share your story. I would love to hear it out and to reflect on it as well. I'm very happy with where I am right now. I'm really happy with who I am right now. I'm super grateful, and I'm excited to be on my journey. I'm excited to see who I become, and I just really appreciate my progress, my work, and I'm not slowing down, man. I'm not slowing down. I'm putting like, it's not about reaching a certain level. It's about enjoying the process of just self-growth all the time. I think this is life. You never stop growing. I mean, you never should stop growing. You can learn no matter how old, how experienced you are. You can learn something even when you're super old. Okay, that's my thoughts, man. That's my story. Give me some follow-up questions so I can answer them in the comments, or maybe make a second video to answer them. I don't know. 2 years without smoking weed, that's crazy, bro. That is actually crazy. My friends that I still am in touch with, when they hear me that I'm not smoking weed for 2 years, they're like, bro, what the hell? This world is crazy. Because because I just couldn't stop. I have good friends, okay? I have good friends, and They were very supportive. They were very supportive always. But they were worried as well to see how I was, how influenced I was by these urges, by these impulses. Okay. One thing, maybe more, I could tell. I When I got sober, I realized I discovered I have ADHD. Okay, that's one more thing that maybe helped me as well. It's ADHD medication, but not the one that stimulates me. Okay, the psychiatrist wouldn't give them to me because I am addicted and he knows it. So he gave me auroxetin. Just saying this out loud, it helped me. It made me less impulsive. Okay, emotionally, I was impulsive emotionally, and that's why the emotions were just overwhelming at times because I had no room. I gave myself no room to just think through them. Sometimes I would just think, ruminate on something, for example, ruminate on some past memory, shameful memory, and I would just fall into that shameful pit of sorriness so hard I just couldn't get out of it other than smoking. Yeah. Yeah, man. All right. Thank you for watching. I love you all and have an amazing day. Peace.